There are 3 signs that expose whether a man truly operates as a Machiavellian. Most will deny them all, because admitting even one means acknowledging the cold predator beneath their polite mask. Beneath the calm exterior, something icy and calculating runs the show. It doesn't crave love or belonging, it demands control. And control is what separates those moved by the world from those who move it. The first sign is the emotional strategist. He doesn't feel emotions, he weaponizes them. While others drown in feeling, he studies them like a predator reads the wind before striking. He measures the temperature of every room before speaking. He listens to chaos not to calm it, but to map every weakness, fear, and hunger revealed in the storm. His silence is deliberate. When everyone else screams to be heard, he remains still. Then his voice cuts through like a blade, not loud, surgical, timed perfectly after exhaustion has done half his work for him. He never competes with noise. He lets others destroy their own credibility through volume. Then he strikes when silence becomes unbearable. This is not emotional intelligence. This is emotional warfare. Empathy in his hands is not kindness, it is reconnaissance. He listens to your pain to collect data, how you lie, how you excuse failure, what makes you open like a wound. Later, he will mirror your own emotional rhythm back to you. You will trust him because he sounds like your echo. To the naive, it feels like connection. To him, it is engineered obedience. The calmest man in the room always knows more. His restraint makes others nervous. They fill his silence with confessions, apologies, and admiration. That is power disguised as stillness. Emotion is theater to him. He controls the lighting, the pacing, the tone, anger, sadness, warmth, all performed with precision. Authenticity is a luxury only the weak can afford. He smiles when necessary, withholds when useful, offers validation in exact doses to create dependence. The world calls him heartless. He calls it discipline. He rarely loses his temper because anger exposes priorities faster than confession. Let others scream and reveal what they fear losing. He speaks last. Last means power. Every gesture, every pause, every kindness is calculated for future position. He speaks not to be understood, but to be remembered and obeyed long after the words fade. In conflict, he does the opposite of others. They lean in, he leans back. They raise voices, he lowers his. This psychological asymmetry forces them to dance to his rhythm. He makes others feel exactly what he wants on command. Calmness, guilt, admiration. Emotion is predictable, and predictability is absolute control. His restraint magnifies his presence. In his silence, people hear authority, mystery, judgment. He owns the room not by force, but by becoming the eye of the storm. He sees every confession as performance, every laugh as transaction. Emotion reveals intention. Once intention is visible, people become transparent and easily directed. There is a cost. Treat emotion as a tool long enough and you risk forgetting its warmth. Love becomes leverage. Kindness becomes camouflage. Victory feels empty. Yet most Machiavellians cross this line without noticing. Their calm turns to coldness. Their composure becomes isolation. This leads to the second sign. The invisible controller. He never forces, he guides without being seen. People orbit him because of his steady gravity, never realizing they are being subtly steered. Overt control creates resistance, subtle control creates dependence, and dependence never questions its master. He builds influence through perception, not domination. He plants small seeds in conversation that later bloom as other people's own ideas. He never pushes, he nudges. He never commands, he implies. In groups, he lets egos expand until they suffocate. Then he speaks softly at the perfect moment. His idea becomes consensus. They thank him for solving what he quietly orchestrated. He praises subtly, criticizes indirectly, and commits to nothing too soon. He becomes the stable point everyone retreats to after conflict. That is ownership of loyalty. Silence is his greatest weapon. Others fill it with explanations and defenses of his image. They build his myth while he watches from the shadows. He changes emotional tones attached to people and ideas. A sigh here, a pause there. Soon others doubt what they once defended, all without direct accusation. He offers carefully curated choices that all lead to his desired outcome. People walk proudly into his web, believing they chose freely. This is true power. He studies human bias religiously. He provides certainty, belonging, meaning. They depend on him without ever noticing the strings. In negotiation, he asks harmless-sounding questions that slowly narrow options until the other person convinces themselves. Control disguised as conversation. He appears open by confessing small flaws while hiding strategic ones. Vulnerability becomes camouflage. Agreement becomes a trap. Yet invisibility isolates. He wins quietly, but lives quietly. He influences everything, yet belongs nowhere. Power without recognition is both pure and exile. This path leads to the third and darkest sign, the detached architect. He no longer manipulates individuals. He designs the systems that control them. He builds the theater in which others perform. He shapes incentives, hierarchies, and environments so behavior aligns with his will without direct orders. He sees people as products of structure, not soul. Change the environment, and morality itself shifts. He doesn't judge character, he engineers conditions. He acts only when systems are ripe. One precise move, and the entire structure reorients. Empires are built this way, without spectacle, without visible force. He creates ecosystems where disloyalty costs too much. People defend their own cages because they feel safe inside them. This is the highest form of control. Detachment gives him clarity. He views suffering as data, chaos as resource. He balances crises so one always distracts from another. Others call him cold and ruthless. To him, these are proofs. He sees what they cannot bear to face. Power without detachment becomes blind tyranny. But even this mastery has its shadow. Perfect systems become sterile. Prediction kills surprise. Control without risk is stagnation disguised as safety. He watches his flawless empire run perfectly, yet feels nothing. Victories taste like ash. The architect becomes prisoner of his own foresight. He realizes control preserved everything except what makes life worth living. Love requires chaos. Connection requires vulnerability. Both threaten his power. Quietly, the doubt grows. What remains when the designer becomes obsolete? What if power was only the test to see if you could eventually release it? True mastery is not domination, but harmony with chaos. He learns to build systems that breathe, that allow imperfection, that navigate storms rather than eliminate them. He still calculates, he still watches, but now he chooses to feel within the design. Balance becomes the final and most dangerous form of power. The Machiavellian evolves from strategist to controller to architect to something beyond. A creator who understands the mechanics of everything, yet still chooses to participate. He refines his ruthlessness with precision. He protects the delicate equilibrium between order and beautiful chaos. His detachment is now tempered with deep understanding. In the end, the most powerful man is not the one who controls emotion, hides in silence, or designs reality. It is the one who sees all the machinery and still dares to feel. Control was never the destination, it was the trial. Those who hold it long enough eventually realize they no longer need it. That is the final truth. Machiavellians do not announce themselves, they observe, they influence without effort, they move the world while appearing to stand still. If you recognize these signs in yourself, you already understand the game. The real question is whether you have the discipline to play it without being consumed by it. Most men chase power desperately. The true Machiavellian lets power chase him. He becomes the calm that others orbit, the silence that reveals everything. He knows human nature too well to fight it. Instead, he flows with it, redirects it, and ultimately shapes it. This is dark psychology at its purest. The emotional strategist turns feelings into weapons. The invisible controller turns perception into chains. The detached architect turns entire realities into instruments. Together, they form the complete art of moving men without them ever realizing they were moved. This knowledge is ancient, dangerous, and extremely effective. But remember the cost. The deeper you go, the more you risk losing what makes you human. Many enter, few return unchanged. The game rewards precision, patience, and absolute self-mastery. Weakness disguised as morality will destroy you faster than any enemy. Study people not for who they claim to be, but for what their patterns reveal under pressure. Truth hides in reaction, not declaration. Master timing, master silence, master the art of being underestimated. These are the real currencies of power. In a world of noise, your stillness will terrify them. In a world of reaction, your restraint will control them. Never reveal your full hand. Never react first. Never need their approval. These rules will serve you when everything else fails. The Machiavellian path is lonely by design, but loneliness is the price of seeing clearly in a world built on comfortable lies. You were never meant to be moved by the world. You were meant to understand its mechanics so thoroughly that you become the one who sets them in motion. This is not evil. This is clarity. This is power stripped of illusion. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Choose consciously. The game plays everyone eventually. The question is whether you will be its master or its pawn. The signs are there for those with eyes to see. The rest will call this manipulation. You will simply call it reality. Protect your inner architecture. Guard your timing. Weaponize your calm. These are the foundations of enduring influence. In the end, true power leaves no fingerprints. It simply becomes the environment others live inside, never knowing who built the walls. You now carry this knowledge. Use it wisely. Or don't. But never forget that you were warned how deep this current runs. The emotional strategist survives by mastery of self. The invisible controller thrives by mastery of influence. The detached architect rules by mastery of structure. Together they create a man who moves through the world like a shadow, present yet untouchable, guiding yet unseen. This is not a personality type. This is a level of consciousness few ever reach, and even fewer sustain without breaking. If this resonates in your bones, you already know which path you walk. The only question left is how far you are willing to go. Power is not given, it is taken, through understanding, through patience, through the cold willingness to see humans exactly as they are. Not as they pretend, not as they wish, but as the predictable, emotional, pattern-driven creatures they truly remain. Master this view and the world opens. Resist it, and you will forever be moved by forces you refuse to understand. The game is ancient. The players change. The rules stay the same. Control yourself first. everything else follows. In silence, there is power. In observation, there is advantage. In detachment, there is freedom. Remember these truths. You do not need to be liked. You need to be effective. The rest is noise created by those who cannot face reality. Build your empire quietly. Let others announce theirs. Time will reveal who truly understood the game. The Machiavellian does not seek the spotlight. He becomes the one who decides who stands in it and for how long. This knowledge is a double-edged blade. It cuts through illusion, but can also cut the hand that holds it too tightly. Use it to navigate, use it to build, but never let it use you. That is the final test. Few will understand what you now know. Even fewer will respect the discipline required to wield it responsibly. The world needs order. It needs direction. It needs men willing to see clearly and act decisively behind the scenes. Be that man, not for glory, but because someone must maintain the architecture while others play in the ruins. Your calm will disturb them. Your silence will unsettle them. Your results will silence their doubts. This is dark psychology, raw, unforgiving, and devastatingly effective for those with the stomach to embrace it. The 3 signs are not warnings, they are invitations to those ready, to those who already feel the pull. Choose your path, master yourself, then watch as the world slowly, inevitably, begins to move to your rhythm. Never announce what you are. Simply demonstrate it through outcomes no one else can explain. The game continues whether you play or not. Better to play from the shadows than be played in the light. Understand this deeply, and you will never again be surprised by human behavior, only amused by how predictable it remains. Power favors the prepared mind, the still mind, the mind that sees the board when others only see pieces. You have been given the map, now walk it, quietly, coldly, effectively. The emotional strategist, the invisible controller, the detached architect, 3 faces of the same eternal truth. Control is not cruelty, it is clarity applied consistently. The world is chaos. Someone must impose order. Let that someone be you. Not through force, but through superior understanding and patient execution. This is the way, ancient, unchanging, yours to claim if you have the nerve. In the end, only results matter. Everything else is story told by those who lost. Now you know the signs. The rest is up to you. Move carefully, think deeply, and never forget who you truly are beneath the mask.